Welcome back to You'll Go Wild. In this episode we head to Winton and check out the many dinosaurs found out this way.
So morning, this is, we've just left the Cloncurry Oasis campsite. That was really nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, $30 a night, really clean, really well looked after, nice swimming pool. It was cold, which was actually quite nice.
Yeah, managers were really happy and friendly, which was quite nice as well. That's always a bonus.
The only downside, like a lot of these campsites that are commercial caravan sites, it's by the road, so it was a little bit noisy.
This one's actually quite noisy because of the trucks go past. So there's a lot of what are they called?
Road trains.
Road trains, yeah, that's it. Loads of road trains that go past at night, and it's quite noisy. So that is the only downside. So if you're going to stay there,
we were in the unpowered sites, which were nice actually, but near the road. So if you were further back, you'd still hear it though.
Yeah, but it'd be a bit quieter.
We went to the Gidgee Hotel for dinner.
Yeah, that was really nice.
That was good. Apparently they used to say they do the best steaks in Queensland. They didn't. Maybe that's changed. It didn't say that anywhere in there, and it probably wasn't the best steak in Queensland I've had. But it was still a good meal and a nice selection of wine.
Yeah, actually, that's right. The wine was really good. I like that.
We went down to the.
That made me sound like a lush then.
Went down to the dam and did some fishing. No catching, but some fishing. Oh no, I caught two.
Yeah, I don't think catching bait counts really. And for some reason I think they were having a funny 5 minutes because you only caught those two and then that was it.
Oh well, no, you couldn't catch any.
No, I couldn't catch any.
No.
I know, they got a bit wise to the line after that.
Yeah. And now we're heading to Winton.
Yes.
Which is quite strange for us because we like to do a little bit of research on places we're going to before we get there. And Winton was originally called something else, I've forgotten the name right now, but the postmaster that came out from the UK to register the settlement changed the name because the name that it had been given was too long for him to write on the stamps, and he named it after the town near Bournemouth where he was born, which was Winton, which was where
I was born.
Jenny's family was based.
So quite exciting.
So we're heading to Winton.
Going back home.
I think it's going to be different.
Yeah, just a bit.
We're going via the Crocodile Dundee pub, which is going to be interesting because it's not really the pub because they changed it for the film set, and apparently the landlady is the am I allowed to say this?
Up to you.
Everyone we've met
You get trolled.
Everyone we've messaged the landlady is really miserable. Anyway, so we'll go and see. We've got to drive past it, so we might as well drop in.
The pub, together with other buildings in the town, were featured in the iconic Australian Crocodile Dundee film. The pub inside is very quirky, full of pictures and memorabilia. You can camp out the back of the pub on one of the 10 powered sites, or there's also 14 air-conditioned single rooms available with shared amenities. This is the real bar from the movie. It was brought back from the film set and is now stored in a shed out back. The owners are renovating this area to make it more of a museum piece for the film. The town of McKinley's population has declined over the years, and the pub's lifeline is passing traffic and holidaymakers visiting the iconic place. Winton, Richmond and Winton is known as the Dinosaur Triangle. Sauropod species have been found west of Winton since the early 1970s by Keith Watts, owner of Elderslie Station. In 2006, the museum recovered significant remains of a meat-eating theropod dinosaur named Banjo and sauropod nicknamed Matilda.
This is the Winter Wanderers campsite, and this is awesome.
So how many of these do you do a day?
A lot. Basically every half hour starting today is going to be from 9:15 all the way up to 2:45. I'll be going every half hour.
So you get the bus all day, do you?
Yeah, so I'm doing the bus all day.
Do you swap it around?
Yeah, so we do all the different tours, all the different tours, do all the
This is the Gondwana Stars Observatory, an immersive naked-eye viewing tour, 3 hours based on the phases of the moon.
Now that's from 95 million years ago. You can try to imagine that. It's pretty hard to. But some of the dinosaurs involved with that initial track site that put in the footprints there are the ones you see just around us here. The largest ones, as you guys probably already seen, are called sauropods, or otherwise known as the dinosaur group. That's the name of the building. So those sauropods there are, as you can see, very massive, about 20 tons worth of animal, fully grown, 20 meters long as well, and herbivores or plant eaters. Now the largest one there is actually based on the skeleton we have of one of these sauropods from the area called Matilda, and you'll meet her in the collection room later on if you're there, going there. And the smallest one there is about the same size as little Oliver, a juvenile sauropod that we found, and that's in the fossil lab if you go there. So even though Oliver is very small, nearly a baby actually, he's still weighing about 4 tons. So he's still a pretty hefty beast. Now a little bit smaller than both of those are these ornithopods nearest to us. And these little ornithopods are also herbivores, so they eat plants as well, but we don't know very much about them purely because all we have as evidence they've even existed is their footprints, which look kind of like the ones in this piece of metal just below you. Yeah, that's their footprints. So because we've only got their footprints, we have to look around the world to similar environments from long ago when dinosaurs existed, find a similar size footprint from the same kind of dinosaur, and base ours off of those, going if they've got the same environment, they're about the same size, they should look fairly similar themselves. But for all I know, they could have had a horn on their head or a sail on their back. We couldn't really tell you any otherwise. Same thing with those little coelurosaurs, the smallest chicken-sized dinosaurs at the very end of the concrete. So those ones we only have their footprints, so we do the same thing, look around the world for a similar environment and dinosaur. And that's what we've got at the moment, but we've put a little paddle at the end of their tail to represent a little tuft of feathers. Because those coelurosaurs are the kind of dinosaur that would have eventually evolved into your modern day birds, so your galah, your chicken, your emu, everything like that. We come from something quite similar to those little coelurosaurs down there. Front right foot.
In 2016, 90 kilometres away from Winton, a grazier found these dinosaur footprints at Snake Creek at Crocodile Station. They are thought to be 95 million years old.
Front right foot. The left feet are kind of overlapping through here, then we go to the more right feet. Keeps going up, just out to the left of it. Crosses over that first one's path to that firewall, just out to the left of that first one. So 2 of these dinosaurs, 2 of these sauropods, just walking through nice and calmly, nice and slow, straight to that path.
So you can stroke that one, is that what you're trying to say? Because it's not going to eat you.
I found something really interesting about it.
Is it a footprint?
Reebok 2013. Size 9.
But what we should do is fossilise that, because in a few years' time, 95 million years, that is going to be extinct.
This is probably another one, but it was muddy at the time. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
What an amazing view.
It is fantastic, actually. Imagine owning all this land.
Right, we're going to walk, otherwise we're not going to have time to walk down the valley.
in 1999 was sponsoring the sheep. The rocks look like these. And it's getting into geology, so you know a bit about the formations around here, and you find a lot of cool stuff. Moon rock, all sorts of interesting sedimentary formations, but couldn't figure out what these were. Sent the photos to the Queensland Museum, they got in touch and said that is dinosaurs. So these ones are pretty beaten up. We've been out searching for a while, and that does happen because of this black soil. It's very clay rich, very absorbent soil, and soaks up all the water that comes down in the rain, and when it dries up, cracks apart, and the next rain will wash the topsoil down into those cracks. So over several wet seasons, slowly turns itself over, and that eventually gets underneath things and slowly brings them to the surface. So if you see wonky tenants and power poles, that's black soil, and drain them eventually, people will come over. So it's not great for the infrastructure, but it is good for finding stuff like this. If no one finds it, it will end up like this, or eventually crumble apart and let down the sun. But we try to maintain a pretty good relationship with all the farmers out here and make sure all the locals have some idea of what a dinosaur boat looks like, so they don't just walk past it.
You obviously got something going on with plaster and the other stuff to keep them in place. How did you do that?
Yeah, so if it's a big thing like this, first they'll just with a cowbone, stuck all those little pink flags around so everyone knows where it is. Try to get sort of map out the whole shape. And then just kind of dig around it. If it is a big one like this, they'll have to use like something like that, some kind of earth moving equipment to actually lift it out. Some of them do come in slightly small packages, so you can just pull this out, but then they'll wrap it up in a few layers of this jacket. So first tin foil protects all the actual maps from moisture, and after that cover it with tin foil, with wet newspaper, and then plaster. And
basically paper mache.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they transport it here like that?
Yeah, and that just keeps it all together, because like some of these have been sitting around here for a few years because this stuff again, there is actually a little bit more. They think that if we stopped digging up bones right now, we'd still be carrying these for about 40 years.
Oh, wow.
A lot of work left. But they just don't know what's in it, right? Really? Exactly. So, like some of them, they've got that written on the side. I like the one where they're unidentified and then they cross it out.
It's a pelvis.
It's a pelvis.
On Bob's side.
We don't really know that until we actually clear it up and have the problem.
So how do you decide? One thing.
I've been doing choice of like 20-30 people all day, so it's nothing to have a conversation.
So who picks what to do next?
So we've got a couple of labs supervised, and they're the on-site paleontologists, and they also make sure everyone's doing everything properly. But basically, it's up to them, depending on, like what we'll see on the other side, who's doing the work, who we've got in terms of our volunteers. Some people are really experienced, others are people who we're starting their training. So if it's someone who's just started their training, we'll probably start on something pretty easy, maybe not that valuable. But if we think that we've got something really cool that's just come in, they'll give it to the expert, a couple of which you will meet.
You see, our preferred method of stabilising them would be to take all the pieces apart and reassemble them. But you've got to remember that once the black soil has caused an enormous amount of damage where you've got very fine pieces, those edges won't match.
Yes, that's not.
So as long as there's not a huge gap, I mean obviously if there was a gap that big, you would consolidate it, you'd move it closer. But you might not be able to get away with paraloid or super glue, you might have araldite that little tiny fragment in place. Because as the things get smaller and smaller and thinner, less surface area to glue. I mean, we've always got fragments, and there's half a dozen fragments there, I know where they're going to go. But it's too... because as you're processing it, you're stabilising the whole thing, you're stabilising the soil around it as well. And so when you see a fragment, you leave it there. And then as you're isolating that and the material that's near it, you actually put a little graffiti mark, and then you can remove it. Because you don't know whether it does go back in. It may have come off the edge and it's sitting on the top. It may come from the end and it's sitting on the opposite end. So then you go around and you actually find where it goes. And then you can make that association more precise as you process.
Or not.
Or not. Exactly. This one, I know where a lot of those pieces go because I was the one that found it in the dig. And so I left it in the dig.
Very nice.
So, you know, maintaining that, the integrity of the piece right from when you first find it is vital. And we do try and do that. We
Otherwise
don't do...
it's a box of...
It's a box of fraggies.
So what is that? What is the other piece you're working on now?
It's a sheet of bone, and it looks like external bone both sides. So it's a thin, narrow plate. It's got no internal structure. It's all lovely and smooth. And then when you look at the pieces that are broken off, you can see with some of them, and this also, the fragments are really important because they give you an insight into what you've got. So that is the outer edge. So that lovely curve is the outer edge.
Yeah.
So it sits like that. That's an exterior surface. That's an exterior surface. And that's the internal surface.
Yeah, quite different, yeah.
So you see, you're looking for that texture and pattern. And that would indicate that the edge of that plate is very, very thin.
Yeah.
Even if it does get fatter as it goes towards the middle, the edge is very delicate. But
So what do you think it might be?
I think it might be part of a sternal plate or a coracoid. The slothwood, but these are very thin.
Yeah.
That's the case. Or it may not be sauropod at all. Wouldn't that be exciting?
So it could be something new.
In the Allosaurus.
There's an Allosaurus already.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your view on...
The 3 tours, the first tour of the muddy footprints. I mean, it's done really well, but not really my sort of thing. But the other tours I thought were
Very informative, weren't they?
good, and there was just us in both those groups, which was fantastic.
Yeah, so the first small tour we did, there was a family with 4 kids and a grandma, and granddad, I can't remember one of them. And so it was only a few of us anyway in the first tour, and then the rest they jumped ahead of us and got into other tours for some reason or another, and so we ended up just being on our own. So it was really good. So we got to ask lots of questions, and it was quite. I enjoyed it actually. It was quite nice.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and we have been here 10:15. We had to be here.
Yeah, and it's 2 o'clock now.
Just gone 2 o'clock, so
you are going to be here
so
pretty much the whole day.
It's $75, but it's half a day,
And the only time that we really had time to ourselves as such, I mean, you do the walk along the bridge thing, so technically that's your own time. But the only time that we had to really film in was for half an hour, really, wasn't it?
ice cream and coffee.
But we had ice cream and coffee, so yeah. So they do have a bit of a monopoly there because you are waiting to go transitioning between each activity.
There wasn't a lot of waiting around. Fantastic views.
There was fantastic,
Across
but
the
there also
savannah.
was a good coffee shop that sold food too. So that was quite good too. So we're going to do...
Back into Winton to get some food.
Yes, go check out Winton. We haven't done that yet. So it'll be quite good. Alright. In town there are many quirky pieces of art that represent Winton. The original Waltzing Matilda Centre history and artefacts were destroyed by a fire in 2015, but luckily in April 2018 the Waltzing Matilda Centre was rebuilt. The centre tells the story of Banjo Paterson's poem, and you can see the original handwritten piece and the meaning behind his famous work. The centre also portrays the history of Winton and the surrounding area, using amazing images of life, antiques from the past, and sound and imagery.
Seeking the sun. The land around Winton overflows with plenty, and the green blinding the countryside in its intensity.
Outside is dedicated to locomotives, and if you like trains, you'll love this. When you travel in the outback, each town always has someone with a quirky piece of art, and Arno Grotjahn's wall is no exception. It contains almost every household item you can imagine and more. The walls reach 2 meters high and extend for at least 70 meters. They're constructed of concrete and rock bought from Arno's opal mine at Opalton and studded with things from the past right down to the kitchen sink that either collected or locals had dropped off for him to use. Sadly, Arno has passed, but his family planned to keep the wall going.
Using a sewing machine up there. Yeah, I know, it's a shame. There's a few motorbikes in there he's destroyed. It's a bit sad really, because are you meant to do that?
With a sandbox at the top.
Oh, okay.
If you go this side, you'll get the longer, the deeper note, I guess.
Anyway, that was our garage band. We'd never make good musicians.
Next time on You'll Go Wild, we move to Longreach, where we visit the Qantas Museum and Australian Stockman's Hall of Fame. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share.